Oh, Julie, I'm very happy to be here with you today.
Me too.
Maybe some of you know or don't know, but Luxembourg is the second biggest fund jurisdiction in the world after the United States. So it's definitely a place where finance is done. 9 of the 10 biggest private equity houses of the US have their European operations in Luxembourg. Also, 7 out of the 10 biggest Chinese banks have their European operations in Luxembourg, and it's the 4th biggest Islamic finance center in the world. So I'm very, very happy to be interviewing Julie, who is the head of legal of the first alternative investment fund manager who has a license to serve regulated crypto funds in Luxembourg, and I think you're the only one until now.
Exactly. Thank you, Harry. So you said everything. Basically, I'm Julie Bourgeois. So as Harry said, I'm the head of legal at Six Monks, which is the first authorized alternative investment fund manager in Luxembourg, capable to manage crypto funds, unregulated and regulated crypto funds, in Luxembourg. So we got the license back in March 2024, so a few months ago. And we manage, as we say, crypto funds thanks to the specific license we got, and private equity funds, venture capital funds, whether linked or not to crypto VC projects and Web3 projects.
And my name is Harry. I'm one of the co-founders of the Luxembourg House of Web3, which is a not-for-profit organization advocating for the adoption of Web3 in the financial sector, but also in wider civil society. Julie, can you give us a state of where the European digital asset fund industry stands for the moment?
Yeah, maybe we can start with a few figures. So, and we can look at the general overview of the European alternative investment fund market. In terms of figures, so opportunities are great and big. So they're under management 100,000 billion of euros under management. So if we say that crypto assets as an emerging asset class just take 5% of each, I mean it's a huge proportion that we can manage in inflows. This is for the figures. This is also a lot of things going on with MiCA in Europe. So there are a lot of aspects of MiCA. Some are very people are speaking about some burdensome, something like that. But I think MiCA will give a lot of opportunities in terms of institutional actors. Speaking from the external manager perspective, it will give us a lot of opportunities in terms of due diligence or stakeholder, for instance, on the virtual asset service provider that become crypto asset service provider. It will also give us the possibility to attract institutional investors on this emerging asset class.
Absolutely. We receive a lot of questions in the house from project owners, so people that actually are issuing either coins or tokens, but also, people that do well in digital asset industry, talented traders and so on, to set up or to launch a fund in Luxembourg because it's a brand, it's easily marketable, everybody knows the Luxembourg fund type of brand. But how do you go about setting up such a fund actually? What would be the steps?
Yeah. So, for instance, the first step, I think, when you want to set up a fund in Europe, a crypto fund in Europe, first thing to do maybe is to look at the good structure. The good structure in terms of vehicle, to use a good lawyer like you, Harry, to set up the funds. In terms of structuration, there are some very specific aspects to take in consideration right from the beginning. I mean, in terms of investment strategy, in terms of the way the distribution will be made, performance fee, etc., etc. So I think that there are some traditional finance and traditional investment fund setup to be taken into consideration, whether it's crypto or not. There also, so at 6M we see different type of clients. We see clients coming from the traditional finance side, with asset manager coming to us looking for the establishment of a crypto fund in Luxembourg, because as you said, it's a place which is well known for that in terms of asset under management. It's the second place in the world, so people are coming to Luxembourg for management of funds as well as administration of funds, because we are very good stakeholder, very good player in the field. And people are coming from, as I was saying, people are coming from either the traditional finance, asset manager looking for an exposure to crypto, or we can see also joint venture partnership between actors of traditional finance and actors of the crypto space. So asset manager in the crypto, for instance, so they are looking at Luxembourg. Family office also are looking at implementing crypto funds and found an exposure to crypto for the family. And we have also clients from prospective clients from the crypto space, people that venture capitalists, that they also have good client base, investor base, and good track record in terms of investments, and I want to scale up and see how to attract institutional investors on a crypto fund.
Now, that's really impressive and quite a broad spectrum of clients you're having on such a short time, so congratulations with that. Setting up a fund is like going to the restaurant, right? You have a lot of opportunities. You can go to the McDonald's to still your hunger, or you can go to a Michelin or a restaurant as well, and you really dine out fancily. If you were to give an advice to the audience here to set up a fund, why would you go for a fund that is onshore, regulated, and appoint an alternative investment fund manager as SIXIM? What is the unique value proposition of a company like you that comes, of course, with a price ticket?
Yeah, there are multiple opportunities that this setup gives. For instance, the first one I see is the capabilities, thanks to the passport of the IFM, to distribute the fund in a more broader sense. Because when you have a fund, which is maybe a fund which is not managed by an authorized IFM, you can for sure implement crypto fund, in Luxembourg or elsewhere in Europe. But without the scope of and the umbrella of the authorized IFM, you are very limited in terms of capabilities of distribution of your fund. Because the IFM has de facto European passport. It grants the European passport that give you the possibility, to the extent you organize well the notification with the appropriate regulators in the competent authority in Europe, in a specific country, the possibility to distribute your fund in a more broader sense. Whereas when your fund is not managed by an external alternative investment fund that is authorized by a regulator, you are very limited, and basically you cannot implement a distribution strategy, a marketing strategy. You can only do reverse solicitation, for instance. So as a manager and as a fund promoter, you're limited in terms of distribution opportunities.
I think that's a very fair point, and a point that we often repeat in the law firm as well and in the house. A lot of crypto guys, they make a lot of very inventive products, also from a financial perspective. But there seems to be some education that needs to be done in terms of it is not the case that you can distribute your tokens and market them in the European Union unless you rely on either an investment firm broker or in a fund type of structure, work with an alternative investment fund manager like SIXIM. Of course, a lot of people replied, and yes, but our token, it's a utility token. Well, then even so, as from January 2025, the rules changed, and so that net is really closing in Europe. So it's a very, very good point.
Yeah, as you said, token or shares of funds.
Or shares of funds.
So you can use professional distributors, and the distribution strategy of the fund that we see, of the crypto fund we see, is very specific, because usually people are relying on their own ecosystem. Fund promoters are relying on their own ecosystem, own investor base. So things are pretty easy, but I think that this is also what the alternative investment fund authorized can provide. It's the possibility to link and to contact distributor, placement agent, to be able to be well placed in the network, to be able to distribute your crypto fund like any other alternative investment fund, whether it is private equity fund, debt fund, or other thing. And this is clearly our goal, make this emerging asset class really not a competitor, but well placed than any other asset class.
No, it makes total sense. I know that you also have a license not only for digital assets, but also for private equity.
Exactly.
What is the link between the two in a VC blockchain world, I would say?
Okay, so the first reason that we request also the license to manage private equity funds was linked to the fact that everybody in the team, in the 6M team, is coming from the traditional finance. Yeah. So we set up we implement the fund, the firm, almost 3 years ago. So we already, right from the beginning, we work a lot on the file for the regulator to file the license actually, and everybody is coming from traditional finance. At private equity clients, big investment private equity house in the pipeline before. So we said, okay, so this is what we can do basically. So let's ask this license as well. And the other reason is that if we go back into 2018, there were a lot of crypto funds that was labeled, let's say, as private equity funds because they were very close to VC funds. They were investing in an early stage token. So basically, the token was here to ensure the development of a project, of a token on a dedicated blockchain. So as I think it was easier to say that it was private equity fund. So, and still we see a lot of projects going on that are Web3 venture capital fund projects and with fund investing in company active in blockchain, for instance, developing a project or a service in a dedicated blockchain or utility token, very early stage. So this is why we ask also this license. We say that it was completely makes sense thanks to our positioning.
Luxembourg adopts a regulatory agnostic approach to digital assets, right? There are no specific, let's say, blockchain laws dedicated to digital assets alone. They inscribe themselves in the existing regulatory framework that already works quite good for Luxembourg as a financial center. There have been some changes that have been made to the legal framework with 4 blockchain laws that have been enacted. Of course, having the laws in place is one thing, but you need to have an entire ecosystem, I think, of partners in place that can accommodate that. I think about custodians, depositories, banks, auditors. We saw that in other countries as well. The laws were voted, but the infrastructure was simply not there. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that and how would that work?
So as you said, except maybe the blockchain laws, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think now, there was no specific laws or regulation elaborated in Luxembourg with respect to crypto. However, the regulatory Luxembourg has very early stage, provide some guidelines, write some paper, provide some FAQs, to give the industry some guidelines and some framework that has to be respected. So we add clues on what and how to do things. And second thing that we take into consideration, you're right, it's the ecosystem around us, because it's very important. 6 Monks is working in an open architecture, and we are here really to facilitate the implementation of the fund and of the project of the promoter in Luxembourg. So clearly we work a lot on the ecosystem around us, gathering all the partners that we could, as you said, in terms of depository, as custodian. Very early we discuss with partners like Zodia, for instance, Zodia Custody, which offer a very great custody infrastructure custody solution. We discuss a lot with depository bank as well in Luxembourg. So everything is moving in the right direction in Luxembourg, I think, because before 6M there was no IFM. So now it's the case, and to implement a fund under the scope of an alternative investment fund manager, you need to gather these actors. You need to start with the depository bank, you need to, when the fund is investing into digital assets, you need to have a custodian, which is virtual asset service provider, and soon CASP, to do the safekeeping of the virtual assets. You need to have an auditor, and this whole framework give, I think, legal certainty to the fund, to the ecosystem, and provide also a steady regulatory framework, which I think that the institutional investors are really expecting.
Yeah, and on the institutional investors, a lot of project owners that want to launch tokens or the underlying projects, they are concerned, or they have a big question mark: is anyone going to buy the tokens, or is anyone going to invest in my digital assets type of project, right? How do you go about the fundraising, and how do you see the asset managers implement a fundraising strategy for digital assets?
It depends. Maybe speaking of the asset manager, it's very important for them to execute their own strategy. Very important. I think it's even more important than in the traditional finance and classic private equity fund. They really want to execute the strategy, control it, and to see how the things will be done. So either we delegate the asset management, investment management part, the portfolio management, or either we keep it internally. It depends really. So if we delegate it, it has to be delegated to a regulated entity, which is very important. And in that case, clearly it's the portfolio manager that it's executing its own strategy. So trading, executing trade, etc., etc. And we at 6M as IFM, we are really here to ensure that it's done in compliance with the laws and in compliance with the AML rules, etc., etc. For the fundraising, it's a bit different, I would say, from a fund promoter to another. As I said, there is a possibility to put in place an investment strategy which is a bit closed, but with the promoter having its confidence in its own investor base and capable of do the fundraising himself, or we can provide the assistance with professional distributors that we have to connect the fund promoter and the distributor to implement the fund distribution strategy.
Thank you, and I think it does help, right, for institutional investors if they receive a deal proposal of a fund to be subscribing, and you're already the IFM with the ecosystem that goes with it, right? As opposed to the unregulated, let's say, funds world, issuance world. This is at least what we see. If there are people that are in the room that want to invest in a digital assets fund, can they contact you?
Yeah, for sure. They can. This is also the business that we have at 6M. We have the third-party business, third-party promoter business, and we also have in-house fund. Exactly. We manage a reserve alternative investment fund with a liquid strategy at 6M. So for sure, if there is a need or question, I can answer them.
I think that we are more or less going towards the end of the time that we have here. Maybe a last question is on the security measures that are in place, because of course digital assets can be rather volatile, especially maybe in the trading space, less so in the security token space if it are tokenized financial instruments. Are there specific security mechanisms, legally, operationally, smart contract alike, that you implement before you propose them to investors? Or?
Not directly at 6M, but we have to ensure exactly that the assets are safe kept in a good and securized way. Typically, we are here to protect the asset of the fund and to protect the interest of the investors. So we have to make sure that the entity that is chosen as custody, because we cannot do self-custody, and the fund promoter, in a case of a regulated fund, cannot do self-custody. We have to ensure that the custodian, the implementation, the technology and the custody solution provide for the best security framework. Yeah. And we ensure that through the due diligence that we perform at the level of the custody solution.
Makes total sense. Look, nothing rests me than to wish you good luck with 6M and the entire team. Congratulate you as well with the achievements you had so far over the last 6 months. I heard you have several funds now that you're servicing, so keep up the good work and thank you very much.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you.